Now, this is your life tomorrow if you're working with us. Okay, so let's take a look at a typical debt. I want to give you actual numbers. This is a Velocity Banking demo calculator. Now, there's 4 different ways to pay off a debt. So let's start with the blue box. That's a standard way that you've been taught by the bank. So if you have a $280,000 mortgage at 5%, you're going to pay that off in 30 years, and congratulations, you will pay the banks $261,000 in interest. Wow. Does that look like 5%? Now, what some of the gurus on the radio will teach you to do is they'll say, well, you've got to make extra principal payments. Okay, so let's say you make an extra $300 a month principal payment. Yes, you will pay off your mortgage faster. You'll pay it off in 20 years and you'll save $89,000 in interest. The problem is cash flow. The problem is if you need that $300 back because your car breaks down or your child needs braces, can you get that money back? No. It's low velocity. It goes in the hole and that's it. You'd have to do what? Refinance. And that's what the banks want you to do. Now, if you use our Velocity Banking, this is the basic banking strategy. And in this case, we have $1,000 in positive cash flow. You have to have positive cash flow to do this. But in this case, the person has a $6,500 income and $5,500 expenses. Just by handling your cash flow differently, by using the line of credit versus a checking account and making those extra payments, you will pay off your mortgage in 13.25 years and save $155,000 in interest. But the cool thing is, the money is available in the line of credit. You're just parking it against the debt. Do you see the difference? And if you really learn this concept, for example, with your rental properties, and we're going to teach you about that, you could be paying off this debt in 11 years, save $190,000 in interest, and actually increase your available cash flow. I know, they didn't teach you this in school. Okay, so let's take a look at the numbers behind that calculator. Here's a standard amortization chart. You've seen these all over the place. This is a 30-year chart. If you have a $280,000 mortgage on month 1, and you make your payments all the way to the bottom here in month 48, you'll have paid it down to $262,000. Congratulations. After paying over $70,000 for 4 years, you'll have paid off $17,000. Ouch. But if you use Velocity Banking, you'll take that same $280,000, and because you're parking your cash flow against it using the line of credit, at the end of 48 months, you'll have paid this down $72,000. Now, let's go further down the chart. Let's look at month 126. So at 10 and a half years, you would still owe $225,000. You would have only paid off $55,000 in 10 and a half years. Oh my goodness. And by the way, you probably refinanced twice and started the clock over again. But under Velocity Banking, by using your cash flow properly, you would have paid off down to $70,000. And at month 157, you still owe $206,000, whereas under the Velocity Banking model, you would have paid that debt off. So it's your choice. Do you want to do what the banks are teaching you to do, or do you want to do what wealthy people and corporations do? It's your choice. Okay, so the requirements for Velocity Banking. You must have positive cash flow. If you're making $1 more than you're spending, this works spectacularly. Now, if you have negative cash flow, because you're working with us, we're going to teach you how to get positive cash flow. Now, it's great if you have a good credit score because you'll have options. However, because you're working with us and you're taking your essentials, you're going to learn how to improve your credit relationship with the banks, and that will get you a better credit score, and then you'll have those options. And this is just one of 10 classes in our Essentials program. The other classes are even more valuable than Velocity Banking. Again, Real Estate Essentials, Real Estate Red Flags, Tax and Legal, Remember, we said we're doing interest today, but tax and legal is going to teach you how to lower your tax burden. Self-direct your IRAs to create a real retirement plan, not the bogus one you have from Wall Street. And then finding deals of the decade, finding properties at deep discounts and creating wealth instantly. Under the Velocity Banking model, no refinancing is required. In fact, no equity in the property is required. If you have an upside-down property, you can actually use this strategy to get it paid off. But one requirement is you must study your classes and attend the coaching sessions. Folks, I'm giving you a 25-minute presentation on an 8-hour strategy. You need to know what you don't know. Okay, the benefits. Save hundreds of thousands in interest. Guys, if you don't, the banks are going to get the money. Pay off installment debt in record time. Now, you can make payments to and withdrawals from lines of credit. That means if you need the money back, it's available. And your credit score will improve as you're using these lines of credit because the banks will see you are now an educated consumer. They will want to increase your lines of credit. As you build equity, they will say, hey, how about some more credit? Now, this is interesting. A line of credit payment, if you make it today, can be immediately withdrawn. So unlike a note, unlike a loan, where once you make a payment, it's gone, you can pull that money back out. You can float debt. It's a powerful tool for investing. And you always have access to your funds by drawing down the lines of credit, just like corporations do. So pay off your credit cards, your student loans, your car loans, get all that crap paid off, and now let's talk about rental or high cash flow real estate. So let's look at that calculator because I want to show you some interesting things about that. So let's go over to the calc right there. Now this is the same calculator I showed you, but let's take a look at cash flow. Remember I said your cash flow is worth a fortune? So if you take our tax and legal classes and you learn how to reduce your tax burden by, let's say, $300 a month, let's take that and add it into your daily, your budget. So we're going to go from $5,500 to $5,200. $5,200. So watch the numbers. You're at 13.25 and 155. By making that one change, you're now at 11 years of payoff, and you've saved $169,000. But there's two ways to increase cash flow. Now let's increase the actual cash flow coming in. Now, with our program, we have an income opportunity. So let's say you earn an extra $1,000 part-time with us, and you go from $6,500 to $7,500 of income per month. Watch the numbers. Now you've gone from 13.25 down to 8.5 years in a payoff, and you're saving $192,000. Folks, this isn't magic, it's mathematics, and you weren't taught this because the banks make billions of dollars from your financial inefficiency. So let's go back now to PowerPoint presentation. Okay. And now let's get on from you paying off your debts to you building a real estate portfolio. We're going to talk about creating wealth and passive income through real estate investing. Okay, so if you're working a job, if you've got the job mentality after 40 years, if you can keep your job, and I wasn't able to, how much can you sell your job for? $0. Can you leave your job to your family when you die? Is there any value? No. So let's take control of your future. Again, you've abdicated control to the banks, the corporations, to the government, and to Wall Street. Let's take it back. And let's acquire one high cash flowing rental house a year for 20 years. Now, you're going to create wealth on day one. You're not going to save your way to prosperity. You're going to buy a property at a discount and create $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 instantly. And then you're going to create value for people called your tenants, and they will gladly pay off your properties while the rents and the values will adjust for inflation. So how much are 20 free and clear houses worth? Well, if they're about $100,000 houses, and there's 20 of them, that's a $2 million portfolio. Can you save your way to a $2 million portfolio? No. Now, can you leave all these properties to your heirs? Absolutely. Wealthy people write the tax laws. So you can leave everything to your kids, your church, whoever you designate tax-free. But most importantly, how much cash flow will the 20 properties generate? Well, it's pretty easy to make $500 a month on a free and clear cash flowing property. Times 20, that's $10,000 a month. That's not for a while. That's not until you deplete your nest egg. That's forever. And do you think there's going to be more or less demand for housing in the future? Folks, be careful of technology. Don't get into businesses that are going to get destroyed by technology. If you're a taxi cab driver, you think Uber and Lyft are ruining your business? Yes. If you're a bookstore owner, you think Amazon might put you out of business? Yes. You want to be in a business where technology enhances your business, not competes with your business. And then finally, you're going to learn to use that velocity banking strategy to pay off these properties. Now, this is why cash flow is so important. Guys, if you get one thing from this presentation, cash flow is everything. Let's talk about retirement. In fact, let's talk about a cash flow-based life plan. Okay, most people, this is what Wall Street's teaching you to do. This is the scam called retirement accounts. It's asset-based. It's accumulation-based. But what wealthy people do is they have a cash flow-based life plan. So under the asset-based, it's based on savings. It's based on scarcity. It's based on doing without, on scrimping, on saving, on eating rice and beans rather than enjoying life. And oh, by the way, if you need that $10,000 a month and you're only going to live 20 years after you retire, you better have $2.4 million tucked away in those retirement accounts. How's that working for you? It's not. But what wealthy people learn to do is create value, and you can create infinite value so there's not scarcity and fear of loss. Okay, asset-based. Most people are focused on avoiding taxes because they don't understand that we only tax income in this country. We don't tax cash flow and we don't tax wealth. What wealthy people know is they focus on maximizing cash flow. There is no tax on cash flow, folks. This is important. Under the asset-based retirement account, you better have started 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago. If you're just starting now, if you're 40-something or 50-something, it's too late to do a traditional retirement account. But under cash flow base, it's ideal for folks nearing retirement because you can put together your portfolio in a couple years, maybe less if you're very ambitious. This is huge. Under the model that Wall Street has you on, you have to buy your assets at full value. You can't buy stocks, bonds, or mutual funds at a discount and create wealth instantly. But under a cash flow-based model, wealthy folks buy, or better yet, control the assets at huge discounts. Can you buy a $100,000 house for $30,000 every day and create $70,000 on day one? How long does it take for your stocks, bonds, and mutual funds to go up 200 or 300%? This is a huge one. Under the asset-based retirement account, folks are obsessed with liquidity. They always want to sell. They always want to sell, especially if things are going down. They're scared, right? Stock market goes up. Yeah. Stock market goes down. Boo, boo, boo. Wealthy people have learned that cash flow is liquidity. If your assets are spinning off cash flow, you don't care what's going on. You don't care about Wall Street. You don't care about the Federal Reserve or all that nonsense. You're calm. This is huge. Under a cash flow-based account, this is what all your companies and your corporations are putting you into. You have to be old to retire. And if you don't live long enough, tough bananas. But under a cash flow base, you can retire as soon as your cash flow exceeds your income. So there's no reason why you can't be retired at 37 years old, or 45 years old, or 51 years old. In fact, wealthy people don't really retire. They just change what they do. Once their assets are spinning off enough cash flow, they have free time. They can go to the golf course and hang out with friends while you're going to the corporation that you don't want to be at. Under the old way, you're saving, and then when you hit retirement, you start depleting your nest egg. So you flick a switch and you go from saving to spending. If you live too long, what happens? You're broke. God forbid you outlive your retirement nest egg. But under the cash flow based model, your portfolio is always growing. You never touch the assets. You never touch the assets. You only touch the cash flow, which continues and continues and continues. So under the old way, by design, Wall Street has control over your future. That's a lousy business strategy. Whereas under a cash flow based retirement account that we're going to teach you how to put together, you have control. You have control. That brings you with confidence and calm. Now, let's take a look at cash flow. Let's take a look at how wealthy people look at things. This little house that's in Georgia, this little house is worth more than $500,000. How can that be? Well, let me show you. And by the way, this is a house that I paid $28,000 for. It's already worth $80,000 and it rents for $650 a month. How can it be worth $500,000? Let me show you. Because if you had $500,000 in the bank, if you managed to save $500,000 at 1% right now, it would be paying you $416 a month. Whereas that house will easily yield $500 a month. So from a cash flow basis, a $28,000 investment is worth more than $500,000. Oh, but it gets better. Because the $500,000 that Wall Street has taught you to save, which they're taking advantage of, is depreciating every day due to inflation. Whereas the asset, or that little house, is appreciating. As the currency goes down in value, the asset goes up in price. And think about it. The reason we have inflation is the government is stealing your purchasing power. They're taking from you. They could not raise taxes enough to get the money to do what they need to do, so they're just stealing your purchasing power. So you've got to get ahead of this. And it keeps getting better. You can't buy the $500,000 at par. You have to earn it. In fact, you might have already paid taxes on it. Whereas you can buy properties at a huge discount. You could buy that asset at $28,000 that's worth $80,000. In fact, you may even control it for less than that. Again, under the old way, people are focused on avoiding high taxes. But under the cash flow based model, you get to take advantage of big write-offs. And this is all by government design. And then you're going to use the velocity banking strategy to minimize your interest costs and pay off those properties. Do you see the power here? Hopefully this is getting you a little bit upset because you weren't taught this. Okay, why didn't you learn this in school? Hey, that is a good question. Because college graduates, even MBAs, are not taught this. I didn't learn it in school. You're taught by employees to be a good employee. You're taught to be a human resource. Actually, exactly what they call you, right? For the government, the banks, the corporations, and Wall Street. In fact, banks earn billions of dollars from this 30-year mortgage refinancing scam. And Wall Street earns billions in fees for, quote, managing, unquote, your retirement money. What do they actually do to earn all that money? Why are banks the biggest buildings downtown? Why are bankers making hundreds of millions of dollars? It's your money. And your teachers, parents, role models, they were most likely W-2 employees. They were most likely human resources. They didn't know this. And the government collects much more taxes from financially illiterate workers. And this is really probably the most wicked indication of how bad things have gotten. Most students coming out of these institutions of higher learning are deeply in debt due to student loans. These poor kids are coming out with $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 with worthless degrees. And did you know, thanks to the banks, that student loans are one of the only debts not extinguishable through bankruptcy? That's right, Home Depot can reorganize and eliminate $1 billion worth of debt in a Chapter 11 if they screw up. But you, or a student, the only way to get rid of student loan debts is either pay them off or die. And that makes sure the banks are guaranteed their money, and it allows the schools to charge outrageous tuitions. And when you graduate, they're going to give you a button that says, I'm broke and I have a degree to prove it. Now, why is this important? Because you don't know what you don't know. Hopefully this is showing you that. Okay? So, who could benefit from this? Well, your family, you. How about graduates with excessive student loan debt? How about getting out from under that debt? Everyone who has debt. Realtors, if I have any realtors or real estate professionals, imagine the value you can offer your buyers when they sign up for a huge mortgage at a closing table, and you can show them how to pay that mortgage off and save hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. Mortgage brokers. If I've got any mortgage brokers on this webinar, you need to get in touch with us because your business is about to undergo profound change when interest rates rise, and Quicken Mortgage comes out with a little program called Rocket Mortgage, which is going to do to mortgage brokers what Travelocity and Experian did to travel agents. Can you find travel agents anymore? Nope. So you guys that are mortgage brokers, you might want to look into this. CPAs, financial planners, tax professionals, how come you didn't learn from these folks? Because they don't know. How come you're learning this from me? Pastors and counselors, folks, if you have churches, imagine showing this off to the congregation, helping your pastor pay off his church, helping people in your church get out of debt so they have more money to tithe to the churches, so that these charities and churches can do the good that they do. They can feed the poor, house the homeless, instead of giving the money to the banks. Okay, so there's our velocity banking and our introduction. Now let's go over the education. These are the tools you're going to need to do these type of concepts. The Extreme Combo, which is the biggest package which most people get, that's a $20,000 investment. And you could start with something smaller like the Advanced Combo. As we said, that gives you 2 of the 6 vocational tracks. That's an $8,000 investment. And the Essentials, just the Essentials, which includes the velocity banking strategy, is a $2,000 investment. Folks, if you invest $2,000 into yourself and you can save $100, $200, or even $300,000 in interest, what are you waiting for? Okay, so I'm glad you stuck around till the end of our presentation. Now, take the next step. Contact Mike Harrington at the National Real Estate Investors Group. Here's our phone number. There's Mike's email address, and make an appointment and let's discuss your future. Let's see if you're the right person to be working with us. Again, I know I'm not going to be working with everyone, but I'm looking for these high caliber individuals for our group. Now, my name is Bill Omi. I appreciate you sticking around for this whole presentation. Tell your friends about what you learned, and I hope to be working with you and meeting with you at this appointment. And again, National Real Estate Investors Group, I look forward to working with you.